did that feel? Just remember and recognize when you leave this afternoon and the days following how you felt when your chakras were balanced, when they were all in attune with each other, and when you sang the Lord's Prayer. This is an extremely powerful prayer, one that you can use at any time. Your prayers will always be answered. We were told many years ago in healing seminars that if you're, say, in a hospital with someone who is sick, if you'll just put your hands on the bottom of their feet and repeat the Lord's Prayer, it can be silently. Nobody needs to even hear. They don't even need to know what you're saying. It will reach them on the level that they are ready to experience it, and it will be a very powerful healing. I liken the chakra system, the 7 chakras. They're only the main chakras. There are many other chakra energy systems in your body. These are the main ones that we work with. I liken them to the Hawaiian Islands. Many of you, or most of you, know that Robert and I lived in the Hawaiian Islands for a little over 20 years. And the chain of islands from the Big Island all the way up to Niihau are also one system of islands. They're connected undersea by the underwater volcanic mountain chain. Actually, that mountain chain goes all the way to Japan, but for our purposes, they're connecting the Hawaiian Islands as one energy field, as our chakras are one energy field, even though our chakras and the islands each have their own individualized personal healing qualities. We lived on the Garden Island of Kauai, which was the 6th chakra, or the 3rd eye chakra. And Niihau, the uppermost island, is the 7th chakra, or the crown chakra, which connects us to universal consciousness. I'll share a story with you now which took place on the weekend of the Harmonic Convergence in August of 1987. We wanted to do something special for the 2 assistants who worked for us in our office and who both had August birthdays. And Robert suggested that maybe a helicopter ride around the island might be a nice gift for them. So I called a helicopter company and asked about the rates for the 4 of us to take a helicopter ride, still thinking we were going to be on Kauai. He and I talked for quite a while, and then he said that he would charge us for only the 4 people. But we could rent the entire helicopter if we wanted to, and we could bring 7 people with us. Well, that was almost unheard of. So, of course, we jumped at this opportunity and invited our 2 assistants and our special 80-something-year-old auntie, Mary Mildred, who was the mascot of our Orion Center on Kauai. And we also invited our friend and our favorite doctor, Neil Sutherland, who we call Dr. Love. Everybody on the island called him Dr. Love, and his wife, Linda. Auntie and Dr. Love were actually the ones who first brought the Course of Miracles to Kauai through a workshop given to the local hospital staff's continuing education program, and thankfully they invited us to attend. That workshop was presented by Jerry Jampowski and Judith Scutch, along with several others. After the workshop was over, we were honored to visit personally with them, and Dr. Love, Auntie, Robert, and I created the first Course of Miracles group on Kauai. The pilot and I talked several times in the next few days, confirming who would be coming with us and the times, and also conversing about where on the island he would be taking us. The day before our helicopter trip, Dr. Love had to cancel because he was going to be performing surgery the following morning. So we asked a local shaman, Serge King, to join us in his place. When we drove up to the helicopter office the next morning, the pilot said he had a special treat for us, and would we like to visit Niihau? Well, that was such an exciting offer, because this small island is privately owned, and no one is allowed to go there except those that live there, and those that visit the island, such as doctors or dentists occasionally. Niihau is the 7th or crown chakra of the Hawaiian Islands. The pilot was working for the Robinson family who owned the Niihau Island, and he also loaned the helicopter. He was not allowed to fly us over the actual village, but took us to the other side of the island where it was flat and sandy, and the only thing that lived there were goats. And I guess some birds came in. However, right in the middle of this area where he set us down right on the beach was a huge boulder, probably 8 to 10 feet high, and more than that around, I'm sure. There were several crevices in the boulder, and Robert placed some rocks from Kauai inside those crevices and took one of the Ni'ihau rocks back with us. We, of course, had already asked permission to do that. We then gathered in a circle with our 7 people in the pilot and did a special prayer and blessing for Ni'ihau and its peoples, celebrating our oneness and connecting that island chain chakra together with Ni'ihau, because they really were distant from the rest of the islands. They were old time. If they left the island, many times they weren't even allowed to come back. You could only leave to go to Kauai to do shopping. But basically, those that lived there were isolated from the rest of the island. So our blessing was to make a good connection. The pilot then shared with us that there was an old Ni'ihau legend that went something like this: "They will come as birds from the sky to bring healing and peace to the island." And he thought that this was our group, which is why he had invited us to go there. Of course, the old Hawaiians didn't know anything about helicopters. So the birds coming from the sky was the helicopter, and the birds apparently were the people. The 7th chakra energy of Ni'ihau was so amazing, and the intense feeling of love and peace that came over all of us while standing on that sacred ground filled our hearts with so much joy. We're going to talk a little bit now about the healing powers of the crystals and the seashells, that the ones you're holding, all of which we will refer to as tools to aid us in these physical bodies while we are living on this small planet. However, in truth, in reality, in spirit, we don't need tools to be as we were created to be, whole, perfect, and complete. But when we came to this schoolhouse on planet Earth, God gave us certain tools to help us live in these dual lives, while our goal remained to remember who we truly are and to return home to Him. He provided physical things on earth, such as the crystals and the seashells, the food we eat and the waters we drink, and all the animals of the sea and land. He gave us the intelligence to understand words, such as we find in our Bibles and in the Course of Miracles literature. These forms of tools would bring spiritual understanding. He also gave us the intelligence to become doctors and nurses and other professionals, and to create all the physical things that we see around us that help us to navigate in these physical bodies while we are living in this dream world. Through this intelligence, we manifest music, dance, and the arts to bring joy and beauty into our lives. Everything we use in this dream world is a tool to enable us to live useful, meaningful, and pleasurable lives. Many years ago, we had a Course in Miracles teacher who shared a very simple explanation of these many tools. If you would imagine a blank piece of paper, now draw a line across the middle. We will refer to this as above the line and below the line. Everything above the line is our oneness of God's creation. Love, peace, joy, happiness, all things that God created and which cannot be changed by man. This area is our true reality, the truth of who we are and were created to be. This is the God mind. The words God and mind in this case both have capital letters. Everything below the line in this physical world we are living in, and all the tools we were given to enable us to live, eat, work, and learn to incorporate everything above the line into the below the line living, Those things below the line were created by man and our egos and can be easily changed. In other words, as Kenneth Wapnick has said, we need to learn how to live in the world, but not of it. To use all the tools we were given, but not to make them idols unto themselves. Below the line is where the false gods, with a small g, comes into play. Reverend Weiss will talk about this more in detail in his Genesis workshop also, if any of you have not taken this yet. Those false gods and error-thinking mind thoughts are created by mankind and our egos, and not by the mind of God. So whenever you're having difficulty making one decision over another, or you're having problems with another person in your life, you might want to try asking yourself, am I acting from above the line where all is of God mind and perfect? Or have I forgotten who I am, and I'm working, thinking, and acting below the line from my ego state of being? And remembering that everything below the line is man-made and can be changed. And in that awareness, you can begin the process of changing your thoughts and healing your body. Concentrate for a moment on the crystal that you've chosen. Feel that energy until you may feel it warm to your touch. One of the most useful tools God created for our use was quartz crystals. And yes, crystals really do vibrate. Just think of the watch on your wrist or your computer, which couldn't work without a quartz chip. They are used as oscillators and filters for radio, television, and telephone services, as well as for high-tech, industrial, and medical equipment. Clear quartz crystal is the universal stone. Its purity and beauty in its natural form is a very powerful energy source. It's known as the master healer and amplifies the effects when used with other minerals and seashells. When you're using the crystals, all you need to do is give it your intent. It will pick up your energy vibration. It knows already your intent through the mind of God, and you will get your answer every time, in the proper timing, of course. The use of crystals date back to ancient times. Huge crystals were referred to back in ancient Sanskrit writings. The ancient Egyptians used crystals for protection and health. The ancient Greeks also used crystals in various forms for healing. In fact, the word crystal comes from the Greek word for ice, for it was believed that clear quartz was water that had frozen so deeply that it would always remain solid. Crystals and gemstones have played a part in all religions over the centuries and are mentioned in the Bible as well as many other religious texts. They are seen as a spiritual way to balance energy in physical spaces and the body. They each have their own type of energy. Some boost our mood or levels of vitality. Some help to calm us down. Some help us to focus, since their energy vibrations affects our own energy vibration. But all help us to get in touch with our spiritual nature. We are so blessed to have so many crystals in and around and under Hot Springs and the surrounding area, which helps to make Hot Springs such a sacred and wonderfully loving place to live. Crystals and shells have both male and female energies, but crystals are primarily known as male energies, while the seashells are known to have mostly female energies. But while using them together, they're creating the yin-yang energies, and they will help to balance the male-female parts of our own selves. For my 50th birthday, way back when, we visited Egypt and took small pieces of crystals with us and had them energized and blessed in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid in Giza, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. This pyramid was built over 5,000 years ago and was the tallest structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It is aligned perfectly with the constellation of Orion and contains measurable, scientifically unexplained energy patterns. We did not know this when we named our center on Kauai the Orion Center. We'd like to share some of these very special energized small pieces of crystals with you, and Robert will distribute a small packet to each of you as you leave the service this morning. He will also give you a scallop shell to place these small crystals for your periods of meditation on the oneness of the universe, if you so choose. There are also larger crystals downstairs. You may please help yourself when you go downstairs after the service. Now, for just a moment, concentrate on the seashell that you chose. Like the chakras and the quartz crystals, each seashell has its own special energy attached to it. Their shapes indicate how those energies are used for healing, similar to the use of crystals. Seashells have been a natural part of the evolutionary process of this planet, and they have evolved and changed for over 2 million years. Early man used them as receptacles, cooking utensils, as well for ceremony and ritual. Because our ancestors lived so close to interaction with nature, they used all aspects of nature as part of their healing properties. And because they lived so close to the sea, it was only natural for the people to use shells for their own personal healing processes. Healing meaning to bring harmony to our lives while living in this physical world, and to assist us in remembering the oneness that we truly are. Have you ever laid on a sunny beach, completely relaxed, listening to the waves, and wishing you could take it home with you? Or just looking at a picture of the beach made you feel more relaxed and calm? If so, you have an idea of what shell energy is like. Shells are a wonderful source for relieving stress and tension in the body. They contain the essence of the wonderful power, yet subtle energies of the ocean, which nurtures our planet and helps to recreate the feelings of harmony in our bodies and in our lives. Seashells are a perfect example of one of the tools that God provided for us while living in these physical bodies, which resonate our opening awareness of our true selves. Shell patterns are basically divided into 2 categories: radiant energy shells, which include scallops, clams, and cockle shells. All of the hinged shells are also in this category. The second category is called spiral energy shells. They are coiled around a central coil in a spiral design. Included in this category are the conchs, cowries, cones, and many others. You have a sheet that will give you some explanation and pictures of the various shells. Remember that the shells have female energies and the crystals have male energies. So trust that you picked out the perfect combination for your own personal healing tools this morning. Healing tools from nature, from God, and from the universe. When you return home, pay close attention to see which shell you picked and read the description of its energy. Feel that particular energy. See if you can figure out just why you chose that particular shell, how you might use it, and what it means to you personally. As powerful as crystals and shells are, we need to remember that all tools are just that, tools created by God or the intelligence of man while living in these physical bodies, but not to be idolized as being anything other than tools. As you concentrate on the energy of the shell and the crystal in your hand, Gently close your eyes once again and let us pray. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity to come together in this special place and to share our oneness with each other. Thank you for your love and the peace that flows through each of us now and each day hereafter. Thank you for enfolding us so securely in your love that we are protected and shielded from the anxiety and stress that is happening in the world around us. From this moment forward, we imagine ourselves awakening each morning full of zest and energy, loving ourselves just as we are, perfect in every way, doing fulfilling work with people we admire and respect, courageously stretching our boundaries, excited about expanding and sharing our own precious gifts, and truly knowing the deep joy that bubbles up with our hearts as inner peace, no matter what circumstances come our way or are in our world. Thank you, Father, for our physical bodies that are now balanced and rejuvenated throughout our entire system, as we walk forward in courage and confidence in our oneness with you and all others. And so it is. Amen.